My name is Gertrude Ratchford Hamilton, and I was born in Gaffney, South Carolina, Cherokee County, June the 13th, 1916, in the country on a farm called K. Littlejohn's Farm. Planted what you ate. You raised your hogs, you raised your beef, you raised your chickens, you had your eggs, you had your cows, you had your milk, and all of that stuff. And every year, about November was hog killing time. At our house, they had a great big old gallows out in the yard and had a great big old black pot where they boil that water. They would shoot the hog and kill him, and then they would put him in this water, turn him over and over until that hair got soft. And they would take knives and scrape the hair off. That's how they used to do hogs. I don't know if you know about that or not. The women would come and get the children and clean them and put them in water to soak. And they would take the hog head and they would finish cutting it up, and they would cook a portion of it, and they would cook the lights, what they call the lights. In our body, it would be our lungs. They call it the lights in the hog. And then the liver, they would take the liver and they would cook it with other pieces. Others cook it by itself, but the lights and the hog head and the pig and the tails and they would cook all them together, and then they would grind that up and make the souse meat. You ever heard tell the souse meat?
Yes,
well, they would make the souse meat, and then they would cook the liver, grind it up, and they would make the liver mush. Put the sage and the peppers and the salt in it, and then after the hog was, cut up, they cut off the hams, cut off the shoulders, they cut off the side meat, like we call a slab bacon. That was side meat, and cut that off, and then cut the feet. And, we love pig feet now. Cut them feet off, and all that was separated, and then they would salt it down and put it out in the smokehouse. We didn't have no refrigerator. We didn't even have an ice box at that time. We didn't have none of that. But it was so cold, and by the time it stayed out there a couple of nights, it would be froze solid. And they would salt it down, and as you needed it, they would go in and they would take some portions of the hog, and it would be the spare rib, the ribs, and then they would be the tenderloin, and then there would be the other part where they would take the grind up certain portions of the lean meat to make the sausage, and they would put a little fat in with it, That was the sausage, and they would season it with sage and peppers and salt, and then they would make Mama would make little sacks about that long, and they stuffed the sausage in the sacks, and they would hang it up in the smokehouse with the hams and the side meat and all that kind of stuff. And that's how we came up. Everything we ate was raised on the farm. We didn't know about no refrigerator. And then on Saturdays, after I got a big girl, Papa would go to town on Saturdays and get a big block of ice in one of the tubs. We didn't have no refrigerator. We would bring it, and they would cover it over with croaker sacks, big old sacks where the fertilizer came in. And then they would put it in a shady place and cover it up, and it would last till about Monday. And then on Sunday, we'd make lemonade and ice cream and stuff out of that ice. And yeah, that's how I came up. Everything y'all eat, we eat now full of chemicals. See, we didn't eat peaches and squash and string beans and tomatoes. We didn't eat that till the summer. That was raised in the garden. But now you eat the same thing year round now because it's frozen, and then now they raise tomatoes all year long. You can go out and buy fresh tomatoes, but they're hard, they're not good. A real tomato is sweet and soft, but the tomatoes you buy now, they're so pretty and red in the store, but they just as hard, they don't have much taste. Back when I was a child, we didn't have no icebox. They made sweet potato pies and cakes and all that kind of stuff on Saturday for Sunday. They just put them in one of them cold rooms. They didn't fall. Because you could see the stars without going outside. I know you've heard of that. And chickens used to be underneath the house. You just reach on there and get some eggs the hens, the chickens used to love to get up near the fire, near the chimney. And them old houses, you could just raise up a plank and reach down in there and get you some eggs. The hens would lay up under there. And then Mama would, and then she would save the choice eggs, and she would set them hens in the spring, and right around now, it wouldn't be long, the chicken would be hatching. Maybe a hen would have 8 or 10 little chickens running behind her. And they'd be saying cluck, cluck, cluck. The old hen would be cluck, cluck, cluck. And the chicken they'd be scratching and eating. Yeah, I came up with all that. I'm glad of my experience of sleeping in those cold houses. Mama used to heat a black iron or brick, wrap it in an old quilt and put it on the bed with her children, but we still here. You'd find an old brick laying somewhere in the yard, and you would just put it in the hot fireplace. You had a fireplace, open fireplace. You put that brick in there and get it hot. Then you wrap it in an old piece of quilt and put it in the bed with your children. Or the black iron that we used to iron the clothes with. They were heated on a heater or in the front of the fireplace. And we would, we'd get one of them hot, wrap it up and put it in the bed with your kids to keep your children warm, and yourself too. To take out the night pot and take it to the privy every morning. That's what you use for the bathroom. Just like we had to use it as the bathroom. Then, because it was too cold to go outdoors at night, and it was dark. So you'd use that. It was a great old big one, about this big, with a lid on it. And you would, whatever you had to do, you did it in that chamber pot. And then in the daytime, you take it out and empty it over in the outhouse. That was one I had to do, and then I'd have to bring in the stove wood to make the fire in the stove to cook breakfast. You know, Papa used to cut the blocks about this big to go in the stove. And the stove, we had big old stoves, had water tanks on the side. Had a great big, it was a wood stove, but it had a great big water tank on the side. You fill it up and that would give you hot water to wash your face and all, wash your dishes and all like that. We dipped it out and put it in a dish pan. Used to have 2 or 3 dish pans. You'd have 2 or 3, that's what you use. Like we got a sink now. We don't need many dish pans. We got mixing bowls, but we had dish pan. And we washed the dishes in one pan, put them over in the other, and get that water out of that tank and pour them and rinse them. And then you dry them off with a cloth. We used to wash the clothes in big old wooden tubs at that time. We didn't have the tin tub. Later on, we got tin tubs. But you heat the water in a big black pot out in the yard, and you pour it over in this tub with your clothes with the lye soap. They made their own lye soap.
How did they make the soap?
With grease and grease and a red devil lye. You seen red devil lye in the store? It's in there now. It's in a little can, red devil lye, and they would cook it some kind of way. I don't know how Mama and them made it, but I used to see her make it. You take the fat, she'd save all the grease, like you fried the bacon, fried the fat back. You fried that, you had any left if you had, you keep it in a can. And when you got ready to make that lye soap, you put it in that same big black pot, and you put that lye in there, and you put water, and I don't know what all else they put in it, but they would cook it, and then they would pour it in pans, and then they would cut it out in blocks. And that's what we used. That's soap. We used to bathe with it. For deodorant, we used to use baking soda.
Oh, really? How did you use
You just put it, when you take your bath, you put the soda on your arm.
Okay.
Just like we do the deodorant, in the can. Now we go to the store and buy. We rub it on our arms. You got all kind of brand names of deodorant. You had the sweet gum tree. You broke off branches, and you peeled it off, and then you take a knife and split it, and then that was your toothbrush. And you use the baking soda to wash your teeth with. Going to school, the school kids used to pass us, and they would be in the bus. We wasn't allowed to ride the bus, and they would throw out rotten eggs at you. And we used to see the bus coming, we'd run and get in the field and go we'd get way back up across the field to keep them from throwing rotten eggs, or they would have spitballs, or whatever they had, they would throw it at you, a stick. Those white kids would then they would say, as soon as they get where maybe a group of us was coming from school, they would say, here comes the school bus. We'd take off across the field. and they'd holler, nigger, 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 nigger. And that's what, and we'd say, cracker, 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 cracker. That's what we used to say. If they got near us, we'd fight them, and they were scared to death of us. And black boys, I beat the snot out of them white boys. And a little old white girl, me and her was playing one day, and she kept her trying to throw off on me, and I grabbed her and threw her down on the ground. They had to come and get me. I was beating her. They had to come and get me off her, little old white girl. We was playing together. The first time I went to a movie in my life, I was 17 years old, first time I ever went to a movie, and went to see Buck Jones in Shelby.
Buck Jones.
Buck Jones was a cowboy.
Was it a black cowboy?
No, he was white. We had to go upstairs, and the white folks sat downstairs. We'd get us a bag of popcorn and go upstairs, and you know, we didn't know no better. We'd stay there and see it over about 2 or 3 times. Didn't have to pay but a dime. Paid 10 cents.
How much was the popcorn?
A nickel.
So for 15 cents?
Yeah, we get us, everybody got them a bag of popcorn. We said, oh, look at that. Oh, he gonna get him, see. We had never seen it before. We didn't have no music. We didn't have no. My aunt had one of those self-playing pianos, which you put that roll in there. I don't know if you know anything about that. Because they got them now here and there. And we would go to her house and we'd Charleston out in the yard. I ain't go to no clubs or nothing like that. I never was a clubber.
You never did that? Okay.
Because we were afraid, because we thought that, Mom and them told us that was a bad folks went there, and that scared us to death. I never went to no nightclub. Like people go from club to club on Saturday night, partying, drinking. I never drank, never. I was scared of drunk folks, scared of them now. Old folks, they call themselves protecting you because they was afraid you might get hurt. We didn't go out and do nothing like that when I was a girl coming up. No, I was a teenager. I bet I never slipped out no window and come back in 2 or 3 o'clock. Because I was scared. I had a cousin, she could go in a store and see something and come in and get her a piece of paper and cut it out. She made our clothes, and what she didn't make, Mama made them. And Mama would in the fall of the year when they would finish the crops and call it selling up, and when the white man give Papa his part of the money that he'd made from the cotton, well then he'd give Mama. And by the way, they didn't put the money in the bank. They would make little pouches about this big. That's what all the wires in, and put a string in the warm around the way. That's where the money was. So anytime they was out and had to have some money, you see the women gathering around the other women. They had to get them old dresses, skirts up, and go down in there and get that money. That was the bank. Mama would get bolts of cloth. And when we get the money, she made our outing petticoats out of outing material. That's that warm fleece stuff. Make your panties, and would make Papa and them's underwear out of those, I forgot the name, poplin, I believe is the name of that kind of material. Used to make, and then later on, she would buy the boys the union suits, they call them, union suits. Well, we wore them too, though. When we went to school, it would be so. They had union suits for girls and boys, and I get tickled now because I said now everybody's wearing them now, and they call them thermos. We call them union suits. First job, little old job I had, I worked for some white people that worked in the mill. Yeah, I was making $2.50 a week. Then I went to another job later on. I made $3 a week, called that a half-a-day job. And I worked there for years. And then I worked for another lady who worked in the mill. You had to be at her house at 6 o'clock in the morning because they had to go to the mill, and she had 2 kids, they had to go to school. That was $4. And then in 1952, I left all that and left all the jobs for white folk. But that's the salaries I made. Never did make no big salary. And then I started working for North Carolina Mutual Insurance Company, black, and that's where I retired. I worked there for 27 years, retired in 1979. When I first took the job, I had no training. They trained me after they hired me to be a life underwriter for North Carolina Mutual. I had no training. And I know it wasn't nothing but the Lord working through me because I didn't have no training. And I went back. I hadn't finished high school, but I went back and finished high school and got my GED. Yeah.
So education is important.
Yes, very, very important. God has given me, I don't know why, he's taken all of my family and he left me here, and I believe he left me here for a purpose. And I'm happy to live for him and do the best I can in lifting his name up the longest day I live. Ever in my prayers, I said, Lord, I don't know why you left me, but whatever it is you want me to do, I haven't done. Help me to show me, and I'll certainly try to do it.